What's going on, everyone? So the San Antonio Spurs, more likely than not, are probably not done this offseason. We're still like 2 months away from training camp. But I mean, you just look at, camp signings to fill in the 15th roster spot, which might not come till after, right? Or maybe they wait for the buyout market, right? We'll see what they do in that regard. Still in the mix of trades and stuff. As we saw, the Kelly Olynyk trade kind of came out of left field. Spurs are still doing their due diligence, right? They're still looking around, waiting to see what pops off, how things go. You have scenarios like the Sacramento Kings, right? Is a team to kind of keep an eye on, because they end up landing a Jonathan Kuminga, that could be like this chain reaction snowball where they have to like get off of DeMar DeRozan and guys like that. Not saying that like, the Spurs should go get DeMar DeRozan, but I'm saying like he may go to Miami and Miami might end up buying guys. Like there could be all kinds of things that could happen, or like the Phoenix Suns, or they end up just doing that sign and trade with him and Josh Giddey, right? Then that could take him out of the race for guys like Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, so on and so forth. So, there's still moves to be made out there that could, cause this chain reaction. We know the Spurs are going to be patient. They're going to wait for those opportunistic moves and stuff. But one move I'd like to see, at least kind of keep an eye on, right, is bringing back an old friend in Kyle Anderson, right? When I kind of look at this roster, you have a lot of youth. You have a lot of just young talent, right? And the biggest need, for being honest, probably 3-point shooting, which Kyle Anderson doesn't really help a ton in that regard. He's had his seasons. He's had his ups and downs. He's had some good seasons shooting the basketball, but he's not really known as this like knockdown 3-point shooter. Right. But to me, it's more of just like the defensive versatility, and particularly what like Brian Wright himself said, where they want to create this like defensive identity. They want to be switchable. They want to be, pesky. They want to be that team that can, match up with anybody. And I look at somebody like a Kyle Anderson, who's now on the Utah Jazz. He's cheap enough to where like you could go and trade for him and it wouldn't break the bank. You're probably not giving up a first or anything crazy like that to go and get him, right? Like you're doing some type of, trade, or maybe you're doing like a consolidation move or something, right? Maybe you're trying to get off some money. Could you do something like a Keldon Johnson for Kyle Anderson type swap, which some people might not like that, but like you have enough already. And if you can kind of clear some salary and get off of his contract and stuff, again, it's just kind of a thought. But in general, you look at his contract, right? Kyle Anderson's making $9.2 million this year and then $9.6 the next. So he's not even making $10 million a year. He's still young enough. He's 31. He'll be 32 next month. So he's still young enough to where, especially the style in which he plays, he should be good and impactful for a couple seasons, right? At least through that contract, and gives you another kind of veteran guy that has experience, that was looked at as like a Spur culture guy that I think can come in and kind of be that Swiss Army knife. Right, kind of the good thing about Kyle Anderson is he is a bit of that Swiss Army knife, a guy that can make plays, right? That can rebound the basketball, that can defend multiple positions, right? He can kind of be the modern like Boris Diaw type, right? 6'9", got that long like 7 foot wingspan, right? Like can block shots and defend and get steals and knock down the shots and just make plays and pick apart defense and stuff. He's a really good just utility guy, right? Like you're not looking for him to come in and be a superstar or anything like that. You're not even necessarily looking for him to start. Just a guy that can come in, give you some versatility, get you some veteran, give you some experience, a guy that is familiar with the Spurs and kind of what they expect and what the culture yields and what they want from players, right? So I think you kind of start adding up all those components. I do think Kyle Anderson makes a lot of sense. It doesn't cost a ton to go trade for, right? He's probably wants to get out of, a team like Utah. And I just think the Spurs can kind of bring him in. He's a guy that can help with just development and growth. And, I think he could probably help in a lot of ways with like a Jeremy Sohan, right? Having just him be that Swiss Army knife type guy. Kyle Anderson's very similar in that mold of like, hey, we can do this, and this, and maybe even just kind of help. I mean, named Slow-Mo, right? Like nickname like Slow-Mo, and even the way he kind of like lines up and sets his shot, like there might be a version where he might be able to help a little bit and guide. He's not like a knockdown 3-point shooter or anything, but a guy that again that has had some seasons to where coming into the league he was very similar, right? His first year with San Antonio, 27%. Then he was 32%. Then he was 37.5%. Then back to 33%, 26%, 28%. I mean, he's a career 34%. But like I said, he's had some good seasons, right? He had a 41% season with Minnesota. He had last year he wasn't too great. We'll go over the numbers entirely here in a moment. But he had a 36.5% season with Golden State last year. So, he's a guy that the problem is he just doesn't take a bunch, right? The most 3-point attempts that he's ever taken in a single season is 3.8 with Memphis back in 2020, 2021. But he was 36% on almost 4 attempts. He was 36%. If he could get back to that, that'd be huge, right? Just for, again, the versatility that he brings to a team and to a roster. Again, it's not something that I'd like run to bang the door down to go get. It's not something that I'd, be screaming like, you got to go make this. Like, no, it's something that, if it can just develop naturally, again, a due diligence call. Pick up the phone like, hey, what are you looking for Kyle Anderson? And see if maybe you can make that play, make that move to go and acquire him. But get into the numbers, right? He split the season between Golden State and Miami. Played 61 games total, 36 with Golden State, 25 with Miami. He was better in some areas, right? Overall from the floor with Miami, on 5.4 attempts, he shot 49% from the floor, where Golden State on 4.7 attempts, he shot 45%. And then you look at the 3-point shooting, and this is kind of where the glaring differences were. He was 33% with Miami, but on 0.7 attempts. On double the attempts, so 1.4 attempts, which still isn't a ton of threes a game, but with the Golden State Warriors was 36.5%. 2-point range, right? On 4.6 attempts with Miami, shot 51.7%, almost 52% from the floor. With Golden State, this is where the difference is, shot 48.7%, so 3% worse from 2-point range on 3.3 attempts than Miami. And then EFG of, with Miami, 51.5% to Golden State, where he was 50.6%. Free throw shooting, even with Miami, he was much better from the free throw line. On 1.5 attempts, he shot 80%, where from Golden State on 0.8 attempts, shot 67%. And that's me rounding up. He was 66.7%. But rebound-wise, very similar. 3.1 with Golden State, 3.8. So almost a full rebound more with Miami. Assists, same thing, 2.3 compared to 2.6. Steals, 0.7 to 0.6, so very similar. Block, same thing, 0.6 to 0.5. So basically half a block, half a steal. And then a 6.7 points with Miami, and then 5.3 points with Golden State. If you look at his per 36, which doesn't tell you everything, right? Obviously, but kind of gives you an idea of like, okay, in a more expanded role. With Miami, he would have been 13 with around to 7.5 rebounds. So he'd been 13 points, 7.5 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block. Where with Golden State, he would have been 12.6 points, 7.3 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 1.7 steals, and 1.3 blocks. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Kind of mix in the middle? I'd love to know either way. Let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.